number 16. As I said, I was doing them back to back, so I've actually just opened 15, so I'm now doing 16, which is today. So when I've got the tutorials out, I've actually caught up. Now we know 16 is an even number, so that means it's a gift day. So let's have a look. I've not looked at anybody else's online because I didn't want to see before I opened it. Ooh, what we got? Oh, that's so cute. Oh, this is lovely. Really nice, this. This is going to be going on the tree. We have a little plaster. I would say it's plaster. Can you see? Little reindeer. It's a Christmas tree decoration with a little gingerbread man tie-in tag there. You have to be careful with it because plaster is obviously a little bit breakable, so you do need to be careful with it. But can you see he's got the where's he spinning round? You can see there. Oh, that's a better angle. You can see how he's got like the snowflakey sort of designs printed into the plaster as well. But as I said, don't drop it on the floor because plaster breaks really easy. And I'm not going to try to find out, but I'm pretty sure it is plaster. So we have a little gift this time, which is really cute. Handcrafted, so it gives that sort of element of handcrafting with everything else as well. My glasses are falling down my face again. So this is day 16. We have another tutorial coming up, which is going to be a little Christmas stocking. Now it's going to be a small Christmas stocking, which could be just hung on your tree, pop some treats in it, but obviously if you know me, it's gonna be a smart doll sized Christmas stocking for them to hang up, or a very large stocking for the smaller dolls, whichever you want to work at. So that's it for today. That was a really quick one, because I said they have to be quick ones because I'm trying to catch up and I've got your tutorials to do for you as well. So I will see you in a few minutes with the smart doll, or just a little tiny Christmas stocking. We'll just call it a little Christmas stocking because anybody can have one. So I'll see you in a few minutes. Bye. Okay, we've got day 16 tutorial here, and this little guy is what we're going to be doing. We have a little tiny weeny mouse there. I haven't put a hanger on him yet. I'll do that at the end. So we can actually have him hanging on the Christmas tree, or maybe just peeping out of the stocking or something like that. My little cat decided it made a very nice cat toy, so please be aware of that as well. And also be careful because it's very small, depending on sort of whether you're going to be giving it as a gift or anything like that. You do need to think about that. I actually did him in 4-ply because I wanted to use the yarn from day 16 in my Rosies Moments advent calendar. So this is the gorgeous yarn. So I just used a cream 4-ply and the yarn from the advent calendar. Now you don't have to do him in a 4-ply. The pattern's exactly the same if you did him in a DK, but it does come out quite cute like this. And it's weird because as much as I have done it in a 4-ply, I've also done it in a 3.5mm hook, which I don't normally do for 4-ply. I normally go down quite a lot. In fact, I'd probably go down to a 2.5, but I think that's worked okay. I think it's still all right. So to be honest, you can get away with using any yarn and just an approximate hook that suits that yarn, but I do think he's quite cute. I'm quite pleased with him. So we're going to be doing that. As you can see, I have my little Rosies Moments plaster sort of I can't think of the word. Well, I've gone blank now. Reindeer, of course it's a reindeer from my day 16 advent calendar. So I'm going to put that to one side because, as I say, it is plaster. You've got to be careful. And obviously my number 16, I have a little Christmas tree stitch marker there from What Mustard Made. I also have some embroidery cotton because I've just given him a little pink nose there. And there's some black cotton. And in here, I have 2 little tiny beads for his eyes. So let's get on. He won't take a lot of doing. He's quite easy to do. So I'm going to start obviously with his head, and we've got this cream. I mean, a little mouse can be any colour, but I've done one for a little cream mouse. So I'm going to just do my slip knot as usual and onto my hook. Even though it's 4-ply, you should be able to see the stitches quite easily because I am using a slightly larger hook. So I'm going to go for my 2 chain. I am then going to go for my 6 double crochet into the first chain. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Just tightening up my slip knot there. Now I'm not going to do 2 in each like I would normally do. I'm going to do 2 in the first one, 1 in the second one, and that little pattern will be done 3 times. So we do 2 in this first one. The first one's always difficult. There we go, in we are. So 2 double crochets into the first one, just 1 double crochet into the second one, a little bit like we did the Yoda ears, because it gives you a bit more of a point. So we have 2 double crochets, a 1 double crochet. Now we're going to do that pattern once more, but we're not, because I've just split my yarn, so do it again. There we go. So we're going to do that once more. We're going to have a 2, and we're going to have a 1. So we have 9 stitches now. So when they do the next bit, you'll see how that's going to start to point. We're now going to do a double crochet round. So we've got 9 stitches. So here we go. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and one more, 9. There we go. Now we're going to have one more increase, again very similar to what we did yesterday. There's going to be a 2 and then 1 in the next 2 after that, but I'm going to just push this out a bit, push it out. You can start to see the shape coming, because it makes it easy, because otherwise you're working inside out. So we're going to do a 2, 1 in the next 2, 1 and 1. We're going to do that again. So we have 2 in the next stitch, 1 in each of the corresponding stitches. Corresponding, is that the right word? I don't know. Next 2 anyway. And last set. Okay, so we've increased 3 times by doing a 2 and then 1 in 2. So we've increased once and then 2 single straight stitches, and it should give us 12 stitches. All we're going to do now is one more round, 12 stitches of double crochet, and then we've done his little sort of snout area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, trying to keep my hands down a bit, 6, I've noticed if I get too near the camera, 7, it actually blurs it a bit, 8, 9, 10, 11, and the last one is number 12. I am going to cut my yarn. I'm not going to be running it anywhere, so I'm just going to cut my yarn, and we have his little nose and face there. So where's my other yarn? It's here. Now I've got to do and get in a pot. In fact, I've got a pot there. I'm just going to drop the yarn in there, because otherwise it's going to run everywhere. So it actually managed to do this one without making a mess of it when I wound it up as well. Right, I'm going to do a basic join. If you have a preferred way, please do it. So I've just joined it in by pulling it through the stitch that was there. Pull it a little bit tighter, and we're going to do one round of double crochet. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, there should be 12 there, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and one more makes 12. Right, now before I go anywhere, these 2 I joined, so the 2 stitches that I joined, I'm going to tie a little knot to make sure they're not going to come out. Remember, this is going to be on the inside, because he's going to be a little stuffed toy, so you're not going to see these, so I just tie a little knot, which I think is more than adequate in this situation. We're going to do an increase round to give me 15 stitches, so that is going to be 2 double crochets in the next stitch, then 1 double crochet in each of the next 3. Okay, now if you've tied your knot a bit tight, which I've just done, that can be a little bit of a fight to get in there. So we're going to have 1 and then 1 in the next 3. 1, 2 and 3. We're going to have 2 in the next one for our increase. 1 and 2, then 1 in each of the next 3. 1, 2 and 3. One more increase, so 2 in the next stitch, 1 in each of the next 3. We have 1, 2 and 3. We now have 15 stitches round, so you can see it's just gone a little bit wider there. we're going to have one more increase row where we're going to get the numbers up to 18. So it's going to be 2 in the first one and then 1 in each of the next 4 this time. I'm not finished the stitch there, have I? So we have a 2, and then we're going to have 4 separate ones. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So that's set number 1. There's 3 of these. So 2 in the next one, and then we're going to have 1 in each of the next 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Last set, so 2 in the first one and 1 in each of the next 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So that's the max we've gone to. There's 18 stitches there. It won't get any bigger than that. I'm just going to slide the stitch marker in. If you sat quiet, as I said before, you can sit and count it, but if you're getting distracted, pop a marker in. There we go. So I've got my little Christmas tree one today. So we're going to do X amount of plain rounds. Now that's going to get in my way, so I'm just going to cut them slightly shorter because, as I said, they're going to be in the inside, and I'm going to shove them inside so they're not in my way. It works as a bit of stuffing as well. So there we go. Right, so now we're going to do 4, in fact no, I think I've written 5. We're going to do five rounds of just double crochet to the stitch marker. This is the length of his body, or his little jumper. So it's just 1 double crochet into every double crochet. So you've got 18 per round, and you're going to do that 5 times. It does feel a bit looser doing a 4-ply with a 3.5. I don't actually know why I did it. I just picked the hook up and just went for it. And then realised I was using a larger hook, but I thought, well, it looks okay anyway, he looks quite cute, so I left it with that. So it's up to you if you want to go for a smaller hook, for a more 4-ply hook, which as I said, I'd normally done a 2.5. Right, we're on our second round now, so this is number 2. You can see his shape coming. This is absolutely lovely, this 4-ply I'm using at the moment, the one I got in my advent. I just thought it'd make a really cute jumper for him. So I was dying to use some because I've not really used it, have I? And the whole point of having an advent is to use it. Right, we're nearly round on number 2. And we're starting number 3 now. As I said, because the stitch marker's there, I don't have to worry about counting. So I'm just going to speed up a little bit. For those guys who know what they're doing, as I've said, we have 5 rounds, and if they want to just sort of pause me or skip forward and do those 5 rounds on their own, and then come back to me when I sort of decrease across the mouse's bottom. Or remember, you can slow me down on the settings. Now, this is our 3rd one I've almost finished. Such a pretty variegation. Right, this is round number 4. Remember, we've got 5 of them. He himself doesn't take long. I think sometimes the crochet is not the bad bit, well, not the hard bit, should I say. Sometimes it's the putting it together, and that's what can take your time. Because yes, it's easy enough to crochet a shape within a time period, but then if you've got all the ends to sew in, if there's complications there, or you've got accessories to add to it, or if you're doing any sort of other decoration with another medium like felt or ribbons, that is where it takes the time. Right, last round, so just 1 double crochet into each of those crochets. It should be 18 stitches. If you've got 19 or 20, it's not the end of the world. You just have a slightly chubbier little mouse on the tree, which would be quite cute. These have already got a little home. One's going on my tree, and the other one my daughters are going for her tree. So these 2 little guys have homes. One thing the Vlogmas has done is actually made me get some things on my tree, because I'm usually too busy making things for other people rather than for my own home. So it's great now because I've got a few crochet things on the tree this year. Right, so we've gone round. So you can see we have a little body there. I'm going to take my stitch marker out just for a moment. I don't really think I need it from now on. Oh, my yarn away. I'm going to snip the blue and I'm going to be bringing in the cream again. So where's the end of that cream? So wrapping it around my hand as normal, and I'm just going to pull it through that last stitch and then into the first one. Pull these two tight. We'll tie a knot in, and when we get round, and let me double check, we're going to do just a double crochet round, so 1 crochet into each one. So let me just tighten that up again. You don't want a loose stitch there, but don't do it too tight either, because that also can make it difficult for yourself. So this is the end of his little jumper. Or a little blanket perhaps he's wrapped in. There we go, so that's the first round done. And then I'm going to stop and tie a little knot in my joining bit. And then I can just tuck them inside his body so it's not going anywhere. So 1 and 2 for a little knot. In fact, we can put the whole lot of that in. Sometimes by putting the yarn in, you're saving a little bit of stuff in as well. It's not being so wasteful. There we go, in there. Right, we need to start decreasing now. We're just going to do 2 decreases on the first one. So in fact I wasn't quite round, was I? There we go. Now I'm back to the cream. So we're going to do 2 together. Remember, in fact, let me do that again for you. Remember, we go in as if we're doing a double crochet, but we don't finish the stitch. We leave the 2 on like that. You go into the next one, you pull it through, you have 3, you pull it through all 3, that's a decrease. Then we're going to do 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. We're going to have another decrease. Remember, you don't finish the stitch. You go into the second one, you have 3, you pull it through all 3, and then we're going to have 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So that's starting to pull it in at this point. We are now going to be doing, it's like a continual round of 2 double crochets together, but we need to stop at a certain point to make sure we get some stuffing in. So it's just 2 together, 2 together, all the way around to bring it in tighter. So every set of stitches is just 2 together. And don't forget, you've got to stuff it. I've done that before, carried on round and round and round, and then had to undo it. Right, I'm going to leave it there so I can stuff it. So we've got a little hole there. Again, like always, I just use a toy grade stuffing, depending on where you are. I'm not sure what your safety marks are, but this one is one that is a safe one in this country. So I'm going to push that in, depending on how fat you want to make him. I don't know how much cheese he's been eating for Christmas. I think we need a little bit more in than that. Don't overstuff to a point where you can start seeing the stuffing through your stitches though. Don't think there's anything worse than that, when stitches have, sometimes when stitches have been too big, actually you can see it, and then it's overstuffed and all you can see is stuffing. I mean, it's not too bad with this one because it is cream, but I think it is something to be aware of depending on what colour you're working on. So let's finish him off. Again, we have to keep that stuffing out of the way because it will put bits of fluff into our work, which sometimes you can't do anything about. So 2 together, pull it tight. We don't want any gap in. 2 together, pull it tight. 2 together, pull it tight. We're nearly there. There's only going to be a couple more. 2 together, pull it tight. I think there'll only be one more and the rest we will be stitching in together. Ta-da! And we're there. So we have our mouse's body. Let me just pull that through. And where's my big needle? I don't know. What have I done with my big needle? Good question. Oh, there it is. I found it. That's because I've just been sewing up a snowman further over on my desk. So threading it through. Let's get rid of it now. If you have got any gaps, this is the time when you can just sort of thread through with a little bit of darning to make it a little bit neater. I'm doing it again, pulling it towards me because I'm sewing up. I must stop doing that. Right, I'm going to say that's it. Ta-da! So that's his body done. His ears could not be any quicker. They are literally just one round. So in we go. Slip knot. Yarn on hand, 2 chain, 1, 2, and then just 6 double crochets into that first chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Done. That's it. That is the ear. So that couldn't have been any quicker. Make sure you pull it tight because you don't want it coming undone. So we have a little tiny ear there. We better do him another ear. Wants 2 ears. Oh, good idea to do my knot first. And there we go. So 2, then 6 into that first one. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and you're done. And just pull it nice and tight. There we go. So you can see we have our 2 little ears that we're going to stitch on now. Now for his tail, I actually made 3 pieces of yarn. I mean, I'm going to say approximately a ruler's length. So that is 1. Doesn't matter because we're going to trim this. It doesn't have to be exact, but it does need to be quite long. And 3. I'm going to take that in the centre. And I'm going to try and thread it through all 3 of the bent bits through here. If it won't go through your needle, do it one at a time. Right, so let me see what I've done. I've just threaded it through. So we've got the loop at one end and our loose bits at the other. I don't want it too long. And all I'm going to do is I want it approximately at the bottom, so it's sort of sticking out there. So decide where you want his face and knot. And put it in there. It is sometimes a bit hard to get through because that's quite thick, so take your time. You might need to wiggle it a bit. There we go. Now taking the loop, make sure you get all 3 loops. Yeah, so I've got all 3 loops, grabbing the loose end and pulling it through. Make it nice and tight because you don't want too much of a bump there at his bottom. There we go. And basically what I did from there was I plaited this. Now I do have a rather strange piece of equipment in my room when I'm plaiting. It's a vise. Now I haven't put my vise on the side, that is the only problem, so I'm going to have to try and plait without it, because the vise is great because it holds and then you get a really nice tight plait, but we can plait without it. You don't have to plait, you could just do a little string tail if you wanted to. See, it twists about. When the vise is holding it, it doesn't do that, so you don't get a twisted plait. So I'm not going to carry on with that because obviously you're going to be here for a while, but you can see what's happening. I'm just plaiting it along. I tie a little knot in the end, like with this little guy, little knot there, and then just trim it off so it gives tiny weeny fringe. I know mice don't have fringe tails, but it still looks quite cute. So that's all I did with that. I'm just going to show you, I think, the nose. I think you sort of, most people are quite comfortable sewing on the little beads for the eyes. I just used a black sewing cotton for that and just sort of stitched it a couple of times and popped it over from there. But the nose embroidery thread, 6 strands. I'm going to take it in from about here because I don't want to see it, so make sure it's not going to come through. You don't want it coming through. And then all we did, make sure I've got him in the right position so his nose isn't upside down, is that's 1, and that's 2, and I'm threading through. Let's have a look. Are we happy with that one? I think that's okay. You can make him a thicker nose if you want, and then like I do with the actual yarn itself, I'm just going to thread it through, thread it through, thread it through, so it's not going to go anywhere. You want to avoid too many knots when you're making tiny things like this. That's not going anywhere. The scissors are though, here they are. And we have a little nose. Now as far as the ears are concerned, it's stitching on like we've done anything else in the past. We have 2 ends. I'm going to get rid of one end through his body. So one end is gone through. Make sure he's in position. Make sure you're happy with that position first, and then you can thread this through a couple of times, just round his little body. So I'm going to get rid of that bit because that was the bit just holding it in place. That's not the bit I'm used to sewing it up. And we have this other bit here. And all I did was I folded it down, picked up one little stitch. If I can move the yarn, one little stitch into the ear. I think I've got the knot there because that was a bit tough. There we go. And then one more. And tie the little tight knot. Push it through the body a couple of times. Make sure it's not going to come undone. And snip it off. And that was an ear. That was simple enough. So obviously he needs his other ear. I'm not going to do that now for you, but there's the other little ear there. I'll be finishing this off camera because as I say, she's got a little home, he's got a little home, whoever it is. And obviously I just use these tiny little beads that I've got. You could stitch the face on if you want to do, if you're happy doing a bit of stitch detail, and we're just popping the eye on either side, stitched with normal black sewing cotton. And then we have this little guy, and this is your finished product. Hope you enjoyed that. I hope you get to make some little mice. The only other thing I can maybe mention is I've got some of this metallic thread. You know, if you're wanting to hang it on the tree, it looks a little bit nicer perhaps. Let's have a go because I've not put one on yet, have I? So again, I did the same as I did with the tail. Can you see I just pushed the looped end through, the loose ends are here. It needs to sit high on the body. I found it sits funny on the tree if you don't, so quite high. Pull it through, take your needle out. So you've got your looped end and your loose end, and pull it through. Then do a little tie, loop wherever you're wanting it, just depending on how you're wanting it to hang or where you're wanting it to hang. That might be a little bit long, and just trim. And there he goes. He's now on his little thread, ready to go on the Christmas tree, and I'm quite pleased with him. I think he's quite cute. So from me and Little Mouse, we will see you later. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe and share if you haven't subscribed yet, and pop on that notification bell if you'd like to see some more work. So